name is Amy Teacher.
Hey everyone, my name's Tim Gascoigne.
My name is Emily.
Hello everyone, Teacher Ellen here, and I'm so excited to be a part of this amazing project featuring teachers that work and teach overseas. Now, originally I am from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, but about 4 years ago, my husband and I decided to move with our kids to the Holy Land of Israel. That's right. So because my husband is actually Israeli, he was born here and he moved to America when he was 7 years old, and he's fluent Hebrew and he knows the culture and everything. We thought that it would be a smooth transition for us, so we just said, okay, let's do it. And about 4 years ago we moved here, and I have to say that we really love it, and it has been a smooth transition for us.
I've been teaching abroad for about 7 years now. When I first moved abroad, I was working as an au pair, just tutoring children privately. I found a job in a private school in Istanbul, Turkey, and I stayed there for about 3 years teaching. It was the best place to get experience. I learned a lot and kind of grew as a teacher. I decided to leave Istanbul after 3 years because of political instability. I had young children at that time, so I didn't really want to be raising them there as babies with all of the uncertainty. So I took a job in Hungary, in a town called Zalaegerszeg, Hungary, which is small. It's about 60,000 people. I was working in a public school as a native English speaker, teaching grades 1st through 8th. I had about 16 or 17 different classes, and it was really chaotic and crazy.
I do not teach in the US or Canada. I teach overseas. Currently I'm teaching from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which is actually in the same time zone as my students in Beijing and around the country of China. I have taught in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, in Bali, Indonesia, Footsteps from the Beach. I have taught from Bangkok, Thailand, Northern Thailand. I've taught from Hong Kong, and I've taught in Beijing as well.
I am currently in South Korea. I teach all grade levels here, but I also teach Chinese students online, and it's been really great for me because I'm able to teach my normal schedule at my public schools here and universities here during the day, and then because it's not only 1 hour time difference, I'm able to come home and then teach online in the evenings. So I really like that part of it. It's so easy for me to be able to teach online.
Like most Europeans, I don't know if I'm on the European time zone, but I'm 5 hours behind Beijing. So my ideal hours are about 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I work for Go-Go Kid, VIP Kid, and Magic Years. VIP Kid and Go-Go Kid start for me at about 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I do that until about 11:30 a.m. Then Magic Year starts at 12 p.m. and I do Magic Years from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. I have been known to open those 4 a.m. slots once in a blue moon, and so I have so much respect for the American and Canadian teachers who actually live there and who do those slots every single day. Not only are you teaching those slots, but then you go to work.
I work primarily for VIP Kid, and what I love about teaching in Asia, and specifically in Southeast Asia, is how I can teach at those off-peak hours. So I teach primarily 3 p.m. in the afternoon until 6 p.m. However, sometimes I can get bookings earlier, around 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now you might be wondering, how do you get students? They're still in school. Well, there are students in a lot of different situations, and I often catch students as they're coming home from school in the car. And I catch those students as soon as they get home as well, before dinner time. So I love teaching between 3 and 6 because that really gives me my evenings free, and then I often teach more hours on the weekend.
While I was teaching in the public school in Hungary, I found online teaching through a Facebook group. Initially, I thought it was a scam. I was very nervous going in. I started with VIP Kid. So I've now been teaching for over 2 years with VIP Kid. I've been also teaching with Magic Years for about a year. I added them as a second company when I decided to switch to full-time online teaching. I've now taught over 3,000 classes online. So I teach from about 8:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I usually do about half the day, the morning with VIP Kid, and then I do the other half with Magic Ears. For the most part, it's pretty painless. Sometimes I do have some issues like internet issues. I've definitely had some bad situations trying to figure out how to communicate with a guy who's working on the balcony who only speaks Hungarian. How can I explain to him that I teach online and I really need him to be quiet? For the most part, I love online teaching. It's so much easier than teaching in a regular school. I set my own hours. I take vacations whenever I want to.
Teaching online is just a fantastic way to travel the world, see many cultures, and make an income while you're doing it. And so I've been able to do that now for over a year. I absolutely love it.
Sometimes I'll have students 6 months to a year, sometimes actually longer. And so I really get to be with the students and see their progress. And to me, it's so amazing how quickly the students can catch on to English and being able to see their progress more than just a few weeks even that I might have students in Korea, or maybe at most a semester, which would be 3 months. So the online teaching for me, I really get to see students grow.
So as much as I said I do love living here, which I do, there has been one thing that has been a little bit of a problem, which is that the longer we stay here, the worse my kids' English has become. And although I'm really happy that they speak Hebrew really well and they have another language, I said to myself, oh no, I can't have this. So the last couple months, I've been really cracking down on them, all of them. So the new rule in the house is, in the house, it's 100% English. No Hebrew in the house. Another thing we do is once or twice or a few times a week, I'll take one kid here, one kid there, and we will pick a lesson that I have the next day. We'll sit together, we'll look through my list of lessons, and we will do the lesson together. Instead of me sitting and reading to them and them passively listening, I will say the sentence and I will have them repeat the sentence, just like we do in our classes. So I will say the sentence and he will repeat. If he can't say the whole sentence, we will break it down into words. If there is a word that he's stuck on, then we'll break the word down into syllables. We'll count it out, or we'll clap it out, and correct pronunciation. And that, out of everything, has been the most tremendous help in implementing that into helping my kids speak English, since they are growing up speaking English as foreigners.
I have lots of stories about teaching online and traveling, and now that I teach short notice, I'm able to kind of be a little bit more flexible, but I can remember when I was doing the booking frenzy and booking 2 weeks in advance, I had a flight schedule that I had completely forgot about, and I misjudged my dates. So I ended up teaching a class at the airport. Now, many of you will realize that the airport never has good internet, and I had terrible internet. I was able to hotspot off of my phone. I was in the airport in Bangkok and managed to get through the class. It was only one class, and it was because I had accepted a priority booking request without realizing that I had a flight that day. But it all worked out, and a stressful 25 minutes, but I managed to save the class. There have been many times when I've had really poor internet, and so when you're traveling and teaching overseas, it's really important to have a backup, whether that is data on your phone or some kind of external wireless router that you can be able to carry with you. So always have a backup. And when I'm traveling, I always make sure that the place that I'm going to teach at has stable internet.
So I just want to share with you guys one funny story that happened to me in one of my classes not too long ago. I had a student that was really smart and funny, and her English skills were really good and advanced. And at the end of the class, when we were saying goodbye, she said to me, teacher, right? It's 6 o'clock where I am in China, and right, it's so early in the morning for you? And I said, yeah, it's so early in the morning. And I thought that was the end of her question. And then she said, what time is it? And I was so shocked, and I'm like, I didn't know what time it was in America, and the mom is sitting right there, and I couldn't even answer what time it is. I couldn't even look down on my computer and like say what time it really is. I wasn't gonna start explaining where I really live. So I just made something up. I said, it's 5 in the morning. Meanwhile, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon for me. And she said, wow, it's so early. You wake up so early. And I said, yeah, I wake up so early to teach you. So ever since then, I've been super paranoid that a student is going to ask me, what time is it where you live right now? So I programmed in my phone the world clock, so I always know exactly what time it is in America, because I'm so paranoid that someone's going to ask me and I'm going to blank out again. And I always tell myself, you're 12 hours behind China. You're 12 hours behind China. So that was just one of my funny stories.
I think that Blah Blah Comments is a great resource for newer teachers, especially to figure out the wording, how to write comments positively and constructively. Okay, thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about my adventures in Israel. And if you ever come here, you have a place to stay with us. And I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
And I encourage you to travel the world and take this job with you.